Welcome, everyone. My name is Shawn Jones, and I'm the CEO of the iNetrapreneur Network. And I'm really excited because I have an individual who has served in the armed forces. He works with area entrepreneurs, helping them get federal grants and different programs. But we're also going to find out what gets Bob out of bed every day, his true passion, and what that looks like. With me, I have Bob Burton. Bob, welcome.
Hi, thanks, Shawn. It's really a pleasure to be here today. Thank you.
So, Bob, you served in the military. What branch, how long did you serve?
Well, I retired in 2019 after 30 years in the Army. Most of that was in special operations. I retired as a U.S. Army Special Forces Command Sergeant Major. Been around the world, and we're from New York, my wife and I and my family, but we're here in Raleigh, North Carolina, and we call this home.
Well, Bob, thank you so much for your service. My husband served in the Marines for a number of years, and I'm sure it's the same in the Army. Once you're Army and Marine, you're always Army and Marine, right?
And that's true. And you know, a really neat part about that is there's such a kinship that happens between veterans and military folks. So even with the family members, the children, you really do kind of serve for life. So we're connected in that way through the sacrifice. And again, thank you for your service and your husband's service.
Thank you. Now, Bob, 30 years, that's a career. And after retiring from the military, you transitioned into another area to help entrepreneurs. Tell us about that.
Well, I own my own business now. I actually started a leadership business, leadership coaching, speed reading, and memory in order to train what I call speed leaders. And I noticed that the growing leadership gap, and I think we can see that in this distributed and artificial Zoom world that we're in, where, well, 85% of the people in the workplace are actively disengaged. And this new normal is not going anywhere. So I started my leadership business to help fill that gap, to help grow the next generation, to invest in entrepreneurs, to help them get up and running. And now that so many businesses have closed down due to the pandemic, my fire is lit so much more just to help entrepreneurs to bring us back and to bring us into our future, essentially, to relight that American spirit built upon entrepreneurs. So unfortunately, I get to continue to serve in a way and help small businesses here in North Carolina to market and sell and service their technologies in particular to the federal government. And that kind of goes back to my why of to never send our warfighters into a fair fight, but to ensure technological overmatch and sustained leadership for that competitive advantage against all adversaries, foreign and domestic, in this current fight and against all future threats. So I kind of carried my promise with me as I left the service.
Technology is definitely the way of our future. I mean, everything we do is technology based. I mean, even the way we communicate, instead of, picking up the phone and actually talking to someone, we send text messages, emails, we have these video conferences. What do you see in your field working with entrepreneurs, the way technology is going to be used compared to right now?
That's a really good question that actually ties to one of the reasons I started my business, is that we can traditionally only focus for 8 seconds, and a goldfish can focus for 9 seconds. So we have a focus problem. And if you have a focus problem, you have a leadership problem. So we wonder why 85% of people are disengaged in the workplace. A goldfish can outlast us in a focus contest. How can we build, businesses and lasting relationships in the workplace if we have difficulty focusing? So technology definitely makes a big difference. We're connecting via technology right now, which is fantastic. So all things can be used for good, but they can also be abused if overused and used too much. But right now we're overloaded with information and tasks, and well, technology is supposed to make it easier. But quite frankly, I haven't seen that. I've seen Zoom burnout and other things. So that's why I introduce my business model of speed leaders. And I'll just share kind of I believe it's an art of speed leadership, of the art of speeding up to slow down, is that in order to attain that focus, we have to take time for ourselves, take time in meditation to reset, to focus, to set those goals, but also to build our cognitive horsepower, so to speak. And I do that through speed reading and memory skills.
So when you work with your clients, Bob, do you do like an initial assessment to gauge where they're at on speed and accuracy? And do you have like a program that you send them through that's maybe like a 10-step program or maybe so many weeks? What does this look like when you work with someone?
Well, that's a great question. I'll start with a leadership assessment just to give the individual an ideas where they are with their basic leadership competencies, and then also where they are with their reading and comprehension speed. So I believe that leaders are readers. I also believe that speed leaders are speed readers. So one of the main competencies or foundations for my business is the speed reading to accelerate leadership development in this in our next generation in particular, who is struggling even greater with the focus problem. And then I use three ways to help people become that speed leader and to get the results that they want in their business and personal life. The first way is speed reading. Again, you've heard leaders are readers. Well, now more than ever, we've got to put personal growth as a top priority for those that we serve. And the second way is a strong memory. And it's essential to authentically know your people and customers and to build relationships that become the hidden key to business success. And the third way is leadership. It's all about serving others while building trust through transparency to create a strong culture that can withstand the chaos of change. I believe we're in that crisis mode as we emerge out of the pandemic, and we've got to adapt to this new workflow. But quite frankly, we have to grow. We have to accelerate our trust beyond our business, and we've got to become better for our people.
You use the example of the goldfish. You know, they have 9 seconds of focus, and that's interesting because I too use the example of a goldfish, and it's about being in like a little bowl. And if you stay in this little tiny bowl, you're going to cap out. So you take that little goldfish and you move that up to a bigger fish tank. And by the time you get done, you have this big aquarium with this large size goldfish that eventually can go into a pond. Not that I'm endorsing, dropping fish into the pond, but they adapt to the size. And that's really what you're doing. Is it sounds like you are helping individuals continue to grow, to adapt, which that falls right in line with the military too. And your 30 years of service is always having to stay up to date and tackle those challenges. And you have found ways through your tool, your coaching system, to help create the leaders and take leaders and make them better leaders.
Yeah, and you know what, too, it really goes back to a fundamental mission that I have. I gave you my why. And my why for the next generation is to never send them into their future unprepared. I believe that the future presidents and business leaders are our youth, in this next generation, Generation Z, we call them. And we've got to equip that new generation to take on the mantle of leadership. My mission is simple, that others may excel. And I believe that speed leaders are essential. We need leaders, and we need them fast. We need them now. How do you do that? Through the speed reading, through the memory skills, through accelerated learning techniques to become lifelong learners, to build strong minds, to be quick thinkers, and to be adaptive servant leaders who get results by serving people, the greatest asset in every organization.
Mm-hmm. Bob, what is the name of your coaching business?
So it's quite simple. And there's actually a story behind it I'd like to share. But it is Speed Leaders Solutions, LLC. And we were skiing a couple years ago with my kids, and I was telling them about my business idea. And I said, kids, I want to leave a legacy to you. And here's the business that I'm looking at. I said, well, what do you think I should call it? So I told them about the leadership certifications. I told them about the speed reading, and I told them about the memory skills. And they said, well, put it all together, Dad. You call it Speed Leaders. I was like, that's right. We provide solutions in a complex world. Uh, my kids really kind of gave me the name of Speed Leader Solutions LLC. So I love sharing that story.
That is beautiful. Now, do your kids, do they help you? Are they learning your business so you can take your legacy and pass it on to them as well?
And I think that's incredibly powerful. Yes, but they're a little bit young at early high school and middle school. And my eldest she's working on her associate degree right now, and I'm so proud of her going off to community college. But I'd like to share just another part of the story about the speed reading part. One of my proteges is Howard Berg, and he is the world's fastest reader. And I sponsored him when I was in the military to come to North Carolina. He worked with the special operations soldiers. He worked with the families. And well, we got to get to know Howard pretty well. And we went out to dinner, and he coached us right there at the dinner table. And so it is a family activity between reading. And the thing is, kids will do what they see their parents doing. What we prioritize, our kids will prioritize. So my wife and I, we try to prioritize learning and reading, vice some of the other activities, television and other things that can really take away that distraction, really take away our focus and cause distraction in our family. So it is a family business. I agree.
I love that, Bob. We are very much family focused. Our own kids, that our youngest is 9, they range up into 20. Our daughter oldest is 21, and our kids go up on stages. They work directly with other entrepreneurs. They serve their communities, and we do believe in our own home that it starts with what they see us do, and we include them. And one of our sons, he named our company originally. That was not the iNetrapreneur Network. It was Network Together 10 years ago. And all because he was hearing Dad talk. And he says, well, why don't you just call it Network Together? And the kid at the time was like 8, 9 years old. I mean, you never know where they're going to lead us, and we still learn a lot from our kids. So I love what you and your wife are doing and including and making your family part of your legacy and what you want to accomplish. Now, you are also coming up. You're going to be in the next book in the series, Art of Connection, 365 days of inspirational quotes by entrepreneurs just like yourself to share a message. Why did you choose, out of all the different books, and because I know you get approached with different opportunities, what made you decide that you wanted to be a contributing author in this book?
Well, I've got a story to tell, and this is my leaping or launching point to telling my story. The book that I am currently working on, a little slower than I want, but is The Art of Speed Leadership, which is the art of speeding up to slow down. It's all about connecting with our people. And I want to do that in the workplace. I saw tremendous opportunities and growth through sharing what I've learned about leadership with people. So I see this as kind of a launching point, is just to share some ideas, share some tips in the book, which I'm really excited about. But really so I can get on to my other project, which is writing my own book about how to grow a generation of speed leaders. And I believe now we need it more than ever with different mental health concerns and even Alzheimer's and all these challenges that we're facing in a post-pandemic world. It's time to rechart. And I believe that this book will encourage entrepreneurs day by day as they rechart in their own business to impact their local communities, impact their families, and ultimately impact the nation and the world. So I'm excited to be, in a small way, part of the work that you're doing too, Sean. So thank you.
Well, Bob, we are really glad that you're part of this book coming up. Now, Bob, if somebody would like to talk to you about your coaching services, how can they get in touch with you?
Well, the name of the business at gmail.com. So I'll just break it down. Speed Leaders Solutions at gmail.com. You can find me, Bob Burton, on LinkedIn. I do a little bit of Facebook. but speedleadersolutions@gmail.com would probably be the easiest way to get in touch with me.
Bob, I want to thank you so much for taking time to share who you are and what you're doing to make a difference in this world.
Thanks, Sean. It's really a pleasure to be a part of it, because that's where purpose comes from. And we're a part of something that is bigger than ourselves. And I'm excited to be a part of your network as well. Thank you.
Thank you. For those of you who have just watched Bob Burton, he is Speed Leaders. He is one of the authors, contributors in the upcoming book, Art of Connection, 365 Days of Inspirational Quotes.